I am puzzled by History Untold's priorities. At its heart are a couple of interesting ideas, undermined by its own determination to put the wrong thing on center stage, make a rich and elaborate resource management game with an unorthodox research system, but then spends so much time on a simultaneous turn system and detailed animations that you're left with a cumbersome interface and lifeless AI, and you too might wind up making Era. There's an almost great game here, but it's all neglected and bruised from being shoved into the packaging of a lackluster 4X. The premise is, for simplicity's sake, civilization again.
Harun al-Rashid, Senecwe, Howard Flory, Wuzati, Boudica, Ashtish, Nefertiti, Hilda, Charlemagne, Ashoka, Chasari, Genghis Khan, Kandake Aman, Yuguans, Sejong, Julius Caesar, brilliant Shaka, Simone Bolivar, George Ramkam.
You pick a historical people and take them from Unk and Thog, scratching shapes on a rock, with another rock to Unkbot as God now, probably conquering Ugg and Thonk's tribe along the way. Era reveals its best ideas right away, although it'll be a hell of a time before you really figure them out. In a sort of endless legend
born
way,
with the heart
after
of a
researching
warrior
enough
and the
topics
mind
in
of
one
a
of its
scholar,
12 eras,
the task
you
is
can
now
move on
set
to the more
before you,
advanced technology of
lead
the
your
next.
people to
But doing that
unprecedented
discards any
heights,
unresearched
you raise
topics.
formidable
So any
armies
buildings,
and conquer new
units,
land.
even resources tied to
Harun
them are lost
al-Rashid
to you forever.
storied belief
More
of
interestingly,
Abbasid
many goods and
palace.
buildings can be unlocked by multiple topics. So if you miss out on, say, the wheel, you could unlock it later by researching algebra, but you'd never get chariots. It's even possible to lock out major resources by carelessly skipping every chance at them. Witness me inventing libraries and building Oxford University long before figuring out how to make paper. Another side effect, if you linger to research more, is that a later topic might become less desirable since you've already unlocked most of its rewards, gently encouraging replay variety as early priorities influence your later ones. I'd have had an interesting oral-only academia if I hadn't eventually researched windmills. Some daftness aside, it's a fun system, and vital because all those buildings and resources and items it unlocks are far more important than any new types of soldier. Resources in your typical 4X are just another +1 to something, but Era's economic production system is basically the whole game. You don't buy buildings with just construction points, you also need timber and stone in specific amounts, and later more advanced goods. Build a workshop and it'll produce equipment mean consuming specific goods to accelerate the rate, which could be anything from bread to televisions. Each of those could be consumed to produce something else again, or installed in another building to speed its work, added to housing to give the whole city a tiny bonus, or consumed by a city to give it a bigger but temporary bonus. But first you have to extract the resources, which means building the right mine or farm on a specific slot within a region within a city. Instead of squares or hexes, you unlock procedurally generated regions as a city grows, which provide varying rates of food, gold, timber, and materials. All but gold can be multiplied again with the relevant farm mines, but each region has a different number of building slots, some containing useful resources. Some buildings apply bonuses to others in their region, encouraging specialization of certain industries like baking or metallurgy, and others apply bonuses to the city's quality of life ratings. 5 measures like health, wealth, and happiness that divide or multiply other things each city is. Doing growth is always a careful decision. You're seldom just expanding into wherever the number is biggest. If that was a lot to take in, well, yes it is. It is a hugely complex system with loads of variables and easily the defining feature of the game. By proportion of time spent, Era is not a competitive 4X but a manufacturing puzzle. There are no logistics, and roads are as trivial as they are irrelevant, but it's factory builders who might enjoy it most. I initially did, but it runs afoul of two major problems. The first is that diplomacy is almost pointlessly simplistic, but its AI civilizations are crap at the game anyway. I was soon running rings around them on middling difficulties, despite having no army, and making a mess of my cities. The second is that Era's robust item tooltips are where the convenience ends. Map overlays and summary screens are almost non-existent. And the longer you play, the more desperately you'll want even some basic macro management tools. I liked the planning challenge, but the longer it went on, the more bogged down I got in the busywork of it. Manually equipping every factory with every tool, then zooming back out to search for that toolmaker and why it stopped working, trying to remember what materials hurry up that item, which city is constructing what where. You're pointlessly notified of every single item produced or consumed, but not when they run out. God help you if you conquer a city, because it will be laid out all wrong and you'll have to relocate 10 buildings while repeatedly reallocating all the manufacture. And the menu layout god. Era's world is teeming with detailed and varied animations, all to serve the 1% of time where you won't be looking at the map, which doesn't zoom out far enough, or the menus on either side of the pretty building, which consequently require far too much scrolling. Its battles show countless fully animated war dudes for completely non-interactive combat, whose outcome is already revealed beforehand, removing all excitement. It has dozens of playable civilizations, many underrepresented in games, and with less obvious leaders, with unique flavor text during rare era transitions. Yet they show no personality or discernible differences in behavior, which is so fluctuant and opaque that I was ignoring all foreign relations messages before long. And a great many innate bonuses are so useless that the joy of playing as Boudica, Osh-Tish, or Steppe.
Alexander, born with the heart of a warrior and the mind of a scholar, the task is now set before you, to lead your people to unprecedented heights. Will you raise formidable armies and conquer new lands, or seek to unite cultures under your...
Figuring out how to build a thriving empire will be an enjoyable challenge to people looking for a certain kind of production chain game, but I don't see its malnourished AI and ballooning micromanagement keeping them around once they do. Era History Untold does have some positives. While systems don't work as well as intended, the game's freedom to let me specialize in different directions was a welcome change. This meant I could expand territories and focus different regions on different resources. I was able to build an entire city for food production and another that focused on industrial structures. But the chore that comes with every cool mechanic in Era History Untold takes away from the experience. Some systems don't work, and some, like the combat encounters, are incredibly simple. Combat works similar to other 4X games. I placed down some units and they fought another army. I had no control over the fight, apart from picking the units and deciding what perks and abilities they had. It does look wonderful from a visual point of view. Music and sound design is also up there with the best. The move away from blocks creates immersive worlds, whereas the structures and detail of the land help bring everything to life. Sadly, this is all covered in those cumbersome menus and tabs, which often take away from the beauty. Isn't a bad game, but it could be better. If some polish was given to the game's systems and progression, it would make things much better. It is completely playable, not at all a broken experience, but there are issues you'll need to be aware of. When jumping in, some of these will have you scratching your head, while others will have you confused at first. However, it still makes for an enjoyable time.